Hey there, how are you doing? Bill DeWeese from VoiceOverRevolution.com with information, insights, tips, tricks, strategies to help you build a successful voiceover career. And today we take a look at most pressing problems, MPPs. These are questions that listeners, viewers, and followers of this channel send me. Things that they're wrestling with, things that keep them awake at night, things that they need answers to. So today we look at a question from Jeffrey. Jeffrey's most pressing problem, he says, is mouth noise. And it's not, he's dealt with the hydrate and eat green apples. And by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't start with the whole hydrate thing, because it does start. If you're having trouble with mouth noise, that extra, when you go back to edit your audio, you can hear all of this noise. You start by hydrating, because if you're not hydrated properly, if you're not drinking enough water, that certainly can be an issue. But obviously, Jeffrey has dealt with that, and he still has the problem. He says he's spending up to 95% of his time in the editing process cleaning up his mouth noise. Well, I have found that mouth noise typically boils down to one of two things, and that is, number one is what we'll just call residue. Debris. It could be, it could be food from eating, or most likely it's just like a buildup of extra saliva or just, I'm trying to think, I don't know what the technical term, the physical term, but you usually get too much stickiness in your mouth that's produced naturally. That's not very technical. And so I'm sorry, I can't be more specific than that, but I think you know what I'm talking about. And it just builds up, and it does happen. Number two is proper technique. So let's deal with the first, where you just have a buildup of residue or debris in your mouth. I find that I need to frequently clean my mouth to deal with that. When I say that, I don't mean brushing my teeth, although I do that regularly too. But I find that actually brushing my teeth leaves a residue of the toothpaste, which can actually be problematic. What I use, and those who are DeWeese members who watch my live streaming every day and see me in action know this to be a fact, I'm always chomping on extra gum. Extra spearmint, to be specific, not because spearmint is any better than any other, it's just because it's the flavor I prefer. But gum, and not just extra, it can be any gum, will quickly and easily clean the stickiness, the residue out of your mouth, which is a first big step towards reducing mouth noise. I know it helps me a lot, and it's certainly worth a shot. The other thing, and this requires a little more work on your part, and that is proper technique. I have found in working with hundreds of voiceover talent, especially newer talent, are not aware of how, and not to add one more thing to be conscious of when you're recording, but they're not overly aware of how their mouth functions in creating noise. So for instance, between words, between phrases, between sentences, it's not uncommon for me to hear a new talent do things like smack their tongue up against the roof of their mouth, or just kind of carelessly open their mouth and create a noise. If you begin being just consciously aware of the noise that your mouth makes, you can begin to mitigate that problem by being extra careful with the movement of your tongue and the rest of the parts of your mouth. And again, I don't want to overwhelm you with, it's enough, I know, recording a voiceover effectively, but then to be physically aware of the movement of your mouth can be another thing altogether. I can tell you this, when you've done it long enough, it becomes second nature. One of the things I'm very conscious of, especially, is my tongue, because if I'm not thinking of it, right there, that's mouth noise. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. When I open my mouth, it makes a noise. However, when I'm recording a voiceover, I'm very conscious not to allow my tongue to touch the roof of my mouth or unnecessarily flap around and touch and hit other parts of my mouth. Again, unnecessarily. So I've developed a discipline that I do not create extra movement with my mouth. Now, between words and sentences, I don't even close my mouth. I'll leave my mouth open. Let me find something here real quick. I'm trying to find just maybe a script that I'm working on. Okay, here's something I was recording earlier this morning. It's for an explainer video. I'm going to read it for you, and I want you to watch my mouth, specifically how I deal with pauses and commas. Secondary endpoints are mostly supportive measurements related to the primary endpoint, but may measure effects related to secondary objectives of the trial. My mouth's open. If I were to close my mouth, secondary endpoints are mostly supportive measurements related to the primary endpoint, but measure effects related to secondary objectives of the trial. I would be generating mouth noise because I close my mouth and open it. Anytime you close, things touch, you open and they separate, you're going to create mouth noise. So just begin the process of disciplining yourself. Practice the idea of not closing your mouth completely as you hit those commas and the punctuation. Again, let me read another line for you and just watch my mouth. Amy is having a difficult time comprehending technical medical literature. Mouth remains open there. The results of clinical trials are always presented in terms of the endpoints that were measured. Because Amy doesn't fully understand clinical endpoints, she can't understand important clinical studies. Mouth open. This makes it hard to communicate the efficacy of a treatment to her healthcare providers. By being conscious of not closing my mouth completely, on the pauses and at the end, on punctuation, leaving that open just a bit, and by not carelessly flopping my tongue around unnecessarily in my mouth, I was able to virtually eliminate. Now, do I get mouth noise? Certainly. I mean, there are, little clicks and pops that occur, but it's minimal. It's very minimal. So again, make sure that you're conscious of the physical aspects of your read and develop those two habits of not closing your mouth completely during pauses, and also be careful not to allow your tongue to move around unnecessarily. And also occasionally chew a little bit of gum just to clean out the extra residue in your mouth. And Jeffrey, and for those of you who are struggling with mouth noise, I hope this helps to make things a little bit simpler for you. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, and share it with your friends. And also, if you are looking to really build your career online through online casting, because it's really happening right now at places like Voice123.com, Voices.com, and there are other casting sites as well, but Voices and Voice123 are the two real biggies. Right now, it's where the bulk of my work is coming from. And, it's a global presence, and it's where not just small, but a lot of major clients are coming, and a lot of money is being exchanged between clients and voice talent through those two mediums. If you want to learn how to effectively position yourself and to be very profitable working in online casting and play-to-play sites, I want to encourage you to check out my training program, VO P2P Success. As a matter of fact, the website is VOP2Psuccess.com. And let me show you and show you the path to creating a generous income through working online casting sites properly and strategically. Hey, thanks again for checking out the video. I look forward to talking to you again very soon.